Hello everyone and welcome to the table. So we have a tale of two knives on display for you today. Two different companies, two different countries of origin, but you're going to notice these knives are super similar, and they may make great competitive options for you out there if you're looking for a decent crossbar action lock. So this one right here is very well renowned. You may recognize this. This is the Kershaw Iridium. And so this one came out back in 2023, and I think it made quite the splash for Kershaw with that crossbar lock, aluminum scales, and just a really well-tuned action. Great shape, great size. It's a classic, and we all know that. We recognize that. Only downside, and I say downside, but the only thing people complain about with this knife is that, yeah, it's made overseas. It's made in
China.
But that being said, if you want something very similar to that Kershaw Iridium that's a popular choice today, we have this one right here. This one's an interesting knife, and I even took off the markings temporarily just to give you an idea of what we have here. So check out those aluminum handles, deep carry pocket clip. We have the aluminum back spacer, crossbar lock action, runs very smoothly. The action is very comparable to what the Iridium has there. Blade shape is slightly different, so we can see it's a Tanto. So very subtle. You can see that extreme tip is kind of almost not noticeable at a distance, very easy to miss if you are not looking for it, but it's different, right? We do have also a different blade steel. So our Iridium up here is a D2 steel blade, whereas this one right here, we can see this is a 14C 28N. So that's very respectable. But really, again, the only negative about the Iridium, I say, is that it's made in China. This one right here is made in the United States. And not only that, the price of these two knives is pretty much the same. Can you believe that? So the Iridium usually retails around $60, $65-ish dollars. And this one right here comes in pretty much right around that same price, $55, $60-ish dollars, shipped to your door. So that's actually pretty impressive. So what company is making this knife right here? Have you guessed it yet? Have you looked in the comments, or have you gotten a cheat sheet somewhere? Because we had that lovely deep carry pocket clip, a little bit different of a shape, of course, as you can tell, compared to the Iridium. So you can figure out which one you prefer. I kind of prefer the Iridium's clip. It looks a lot more simple, in my opinion, but it functions great. We even have a filler tab there. So if you're going to carry it left or right hand side carry, you have that option, plus the little filler tab adds, some flair to it. We do have the colored pivot collar right here. So we get a little bit of that blue accent that matches the back spacer there, which doesn't happen on this variant of the Iridium. So we have a difference there. And with this lock and action, again, aluminum handles on both knives. The Iridium has full steel liners inside that aluminum. So it makes it a smidge heavier, not a whole lot, but we have just solid aluminum on this knife right here. The only steel in the action is centered here around the lock interface. So there's that difference as well. But functionality in hand, there's not a whole lot going on here that's different. Let's check out the weight too as well. So let's see that. So our Kershaw Iridium, this one weighs in a little over 3. So yeah, 3.3 ounces. And our other knife right here is coming in, I think, even a little lighter, 3.1 ounces. So it's coming in a little bit lighter than the Iridium. Overall length is going to be pretty much identical. So you can check that out too, side by side. So if you've ever held the Iridium in hand, our alternative right here is a great choice. Build quality feels also excellent. So, okay, it's time to tell you who this is from. So let's go ahead and take off these stickers here. So let's peel those off. Okay, so there's the logo. Have you guessed it yet? So there is our logo. There is our model number. Let's go ahead and let's just tell you. So there we go. So this one actually comes to us from Bear Ops. And so that is a division of Bear & Son knives. And you might have guessed this already, of course, because Bear & Son, they're one of the few manufacturers left in the United States that makes pocket knives at all. I mean, Kershaw does, Benchmade does, Spyderco does. And Bear & Son, I think they're in Alabama, based out of there. They still do U.S. manufacturing of pocket knives, and especially pocket knives that you can get at a decent price point. And so that being said, like I said, this is a $60 knife, aluminum handles, crossbar lock, 14C 28N blade steel on this satin finished Modified Tanto. And this is very, very similar in hand to the Iridium. You know, you may not even think it's a fair comparison, but man, even looking at the pictures, when I bought this knife, I thought in my brain, okay, that looks very similar to the Iridium. I want to see how they compare side by side, and they most certainly do. From weight to size, I think this is something you may want to consider. You know, a lot of people don't even consider Bear & Sons or Bear Ops because, again, they're a much smaller company in the knife industry at this point. You know, they're not really as well known, but the fact that they are out there, they're making stuff like this, pretty awesome. And so this was their gray satin finish. They also have this same knife with a whole blacked out look to it, which is awesome. So you have two options for this model. And so this is the Bear Ops. I should have said it already. This is called the Nekama, Nekama, Nekama. So the Bear Ops Nekama, our model number is right there, the MC1000. Just search it up and you're going to find a few knife retailers do have these in stock. I'm not sure when they were released. I'm guessing it was pretty recently. I would double guess it's probably after the Iridium came out because, again, Kershaw came up with a winning formula for this size, shape, and style of knife. And so it's not too uncommon to see very similar alternatives, you know, hit the market. So we can, I guess, again, see those handles, how similar they look to each other, you know, right down to the colors, the big lanyard hole, the hand feel. But there are differences again. Here on the Nekama, we have some jimping here in the frame, which feels great in hand. On the Iridium, the jimping is on the blade, and there's only a little tiny bit of it, so you have to choke up a little bit to get there. So it's a little bit more reach for your thumb to get there. So I kind of prefer to have the jimping, if there's going to be any at all, I kind of prefer to have it here on the frame, like we can see. And like I was saying, the difference in the weight is there because the Iridium has full steel liners there in the handle, which you can kind of see on the camera right there. I don't know if I can get that on camera very well, but you can see the steel liners versus just pure aluminum handles here in the Nekama. So again, just slight differences there, but overall very much inspiration in design right here. So tell me what you think. I think these are really cool to compare to one another, and it's really awesome to see what a company can make in the US at a budget price and you know, compared to their competitors' offerings. So tell me what you think about Bear Ops, Bear & Son. Do you have any knives from them so far? Give me your thoughts. I want to know what you think. For good or for bad, because honestly, I've seen some negative vibes coming from Bear & Son and Bear Ops in the past. So tell me your experiences. I kind of want to know in the comments below. So again, I hope you all enjoyed watching. If you have any questions, please drop those below. But I hope you all have a nice day. See you later.